We're on Daf Hezayin Omen Aleph, and we got up to Kinafol Tipol Lefanav, which is on the bottom of the wide lines, the bottom section of the wide lines. It's on line 5 of the wide lines, towards the end of that line. So the line begins with the words Oivecha. Okay, now we have the statement of the family of Haman to Haman, ki nafol tipol lefanav. So Gemara wants to know why the double language, nafol tipol. Dorash Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai, shtei nefilos halalu lama. Why does it say twice, nafol tipol? Amru lo, they told Haman, umazu mishula li ofra mishula kolchav. This nation is compared to both the offer on the ground and the stars in the heavens. Shem Yordim, when they're on a Yerida, they're on the downward motion, then Yordim Ad Liofar, they go down to the lowest level, which is Ofar, and anyone could just trample on them. Ukshem Olim Ad L'Kolchav, but when they're up and their mazel is rising, they rise all the way to the stars. And now we see that surely you will not, meaning Haman, you will not be able to prevail over Mordechai, because right now the aliyah of the kol is ad la kolchav. Usrise amelech higiu vayafhilu, and they rushed Haman into the banquet that Esther had prepared. Malamik shevi'u bebehol. He was in a state of confusion, and he was really afraid that they wouldn't let him in, or even if they would let him in, he would provoke the wrath of the king, because this was after, if you remember, his daughter had poured upon him all of this, refuse, call it a pail of refuse, and then she jumped off the roof and so forth that we discussed yesterday. Now he doesn't know what's going to be. Maybe the king will be upset with him that he's looking the way he does. And now Esther makes her plea, and she says, "Kinim karnu aniva mi, ki einat tsar shover benezek hamelach." We've been sold, and I and my people to be destroyed. The adversary is not concerned with the king's damage. What is the deeper meaning of what she was saying here? Amro lo. Tsar ze eino shover benezek shel melech. Haman has a record. He's not concerned with the damage done to the king. And let's look at his record. Iknei ba bevashti vekatla. Now the word iknei is from the word kinui, which means jealousy. And it means he was jealous of your wife. And if you remember at the beginning of the Megilla, the Eitzah to destroy Vashti was given by someone by the name of Memuchan. But earlier, the Gemara had established on Daf Yud Beis that Memuchan was none other than Haman. So Haman, out of his jealousy over your marriage to Vashti, had her killed. Hashta ikni b'didi. Now he's jealous of me because now you're my wife. Umi boile mikta. Now he wants to kill me. So already she's hinting to Achashverosh who this person is who's called a tsar, and secondly, why he is so motivated to have me killed. And he's just a very jealous person, and we've seen it before. Now we're seeing it again. Vayomer Melech Achashverosh, Vayomer li Esther Malka. Notice the word Vayomer appears twice. So Vayomer Lomel. Why the double Vayomer? Amar Rabbi Avo, B'tchila al Yedei Turgaman. Initially, when Achashverosh spoke to the queen, to Esther publicly, it would only be through a spokesman. And that's because there was a general suspicion, or almost an assumption, that Esther came from the lowest to the low. And that's why she did not reveal her nation. But Kevan di Amrle midabas sholka sina. Now when she identifies herself He identifies herself as the offspring of Shol, meaning she came from royalty. And that was what we learned through the Gemara Daf Yud Gimel, that the midah of tznius of Rachel went down to Shol, and from Shol it went down to Esther. So now Achashverosh, for the first time, realizes that she is Malchus. Miyad vayomer li Esther Amalchus. Now he talks to her direct, not through an intermediary. But Tomer Esther, ish tsar v'oyev Haman araz Omer Abelazar, v'lamid shahoisa machva klapi Achashverosh. According to Abelazar, when she said the words ish, etc., she was pointing a finger at Achashverosh, because she knew very well that without Achashverosh's agreement to the edict to destroy the Jews, it never would have happened. And so she realized that he, Achashverosh, is the wicked man. That would not have been a good thing if she would have pointed a finger at Achashverosh. And the Malach came and turned her hand with star, means to move it in a different direction, klape Haman. And by the way, we're going to see over and over again the intervening of a Malach. And that's why this whole ness of Purim is all it's all al piderech hateva, meaning we don't see the Malach. The Malach is invisible, and everything looks like it's part of nature. V'melech kam v'chamasa. The pasuk says that he got up in his anger, and the next part of the pasuk says that he went out to the garden. He left Haman behind together with Esther, because Haman was going to beg Esther for his life. Then the pasuk says, "V'amelech shav Megilla sabisan." He returns from the garden, the palatial garden. Now, whenever the Tanakh says that you move out and then you move in, it always creates some sort of an analogy, a hekesh, which is called shiva lekima. Ma kima bechema. He had much to get angry about when he got up and walked out to the palatial garden. Af shiva became. So too, when he returns from the garden back into the palace, he's angry. He's in a rage. Why? The ozol the akash lamalachi asharis the damule li kegavre v'ka okre li lane tebustinoi. What happens is the angels, again, as we said before, at every stage of the miracle, the angels come into the picture to intervene. And in this case, what the angels did was, ka'akre, they uprooted ilani de bustanai, the beautiful trees of the garden. The amar lahu, and then Achashverosh asked, my avdatayu, who was responsible for doing this? Now the malachim appeared in the face, as men. So Achashverosh turns to these men in quotation marks and asks them, who was responsible for destroying the trees of my garden? So they responded, Depaktinon Haman. We got an order from Haman to do this. You can imagine that when Achashverosh goes out, he's in a rage because his great minister Haman was plotting to kill the queen, etc., etc. And now he's enraged when he goes out to the garden because this Haman has uprooted trees from the garden. And this is all to incur the feeling that Haman is really challenging the king and is rebelling against the king, and he has eyes for taking over the kingship. Also, now Achashverosh comes back in. Now, why does it say nofel? You would think it would have said in past tense, nafal alamita. He fell onto the bed. Nafal miboile, it should have said nafal. Amar Abelazar, malamit sheba malach v'pilo oleh. It teaches us that Haman wanted to get up from the couch when he saw that Achashverosh was coming back, And the Malach came and threw him back down onto the couch. And this is the third consecutive intervention of the Malach. Omar, Achashverosh declares, Vai mi bese, vai mi boro. Woe from the inside, woe from the outside. Meaning I've already seen on the outside that this man is destroying my garden. Now I see on the inside that he's taking over my wife. Do you want to take over the queen in my own palace? Now, who is Charbona? We say Gam Charbona Zachur Latov in Yeshua's Yaakov, in Shoshanas Yaakov. Rabbi Lazar, Af Charbona Russia, the Osa Eitzahoy. Initially, Charbona was a member of the council of Haman. He was part of that group. And he was a Russian. He was very interested in hanging Mordechai because he was the one who told Achashverosh exactly how tall the gallows was, the 50 amos gallows, which Haman had prepared for Mordechai. And how did he know that? Because he was part of the council. He probably advised Haman to hang Mordechai. But Kevan Shara Shol Niskaima Atsasa Miad Barak. After he saw that his counsel, his advice to Haman would not be fulfilled, Miad Barak. He immediately flees. In other words, now he jumps ship and he comes to the side and tries to help Mordechai. This is a pasuk in Iyov. Vayashlech olav v'lo yachmol miyado beruach yivrach. Translating, and God will cast on him the wicked man, and he will not pity, but from his assistance, whose former ally, he will surely flee. So now Charbona is fleeing from Haman, and he's joining Mordechai. V'chamas hamelech shachacha. Again, this pasuk in Iyov teaches us that when God is about to exact punishment on the wicked people and he has no rachmanis on them, then those who advise the wicked people, when they began to see the downfall of the wicked, they run away from it. Shchichos halalulam shachacha. It should have said shacha. What's shachacha? The extra chaf indicates that there were two abatements of anger. Acha shel malko shel olam, with the hanging of Haman, HaKadosh Baruch Hu abated his anger, and this was the anger against Yisrael. And the Maharsha says that the biggest aveira of Klal Yisrael at that time was that they bowed down to the image which was made by Nebuchadnezzar, and that was the sin that caused the heavenly decree that Haman would destroy the Jewish people. With Haman's execution, now it became apparent that Israel's repentance had been accepted and God's anger against them abated. Fi achas, what's the second abatement? Shalach Achashverosh. He had anger against Haman, and now his anger abated with the death of Haman. The Amri law, the Gemara quotes another opinion as to how to interpret these two abatements. Shachacha, achas shel Esther, achas shel Vath. On account of what Haman did to, or was seeking to do to Esther, and what he had already done to Vashti. You see from this Gemara that Achashverosh actually regretted the capital punishment that they meted out to Vashti. Okay, now from this point and on, for quite a bit of the next Agadita here on Daf Tezayin on Beis, which we'll get to in just a minute, we have an analysis of the parsha of Yosef and his brothers. And we're going to try to see that in the story of Yosef and Achei Yosef, there's going to be some sort of an illusion or a foreshadowing of the success of Mordechai. Now, after the reconciliation between Yosef and his brothers, it says in the pasuk, "L'chulam nasan la each chalifos smolos." So for every one of the Ache Yosef, Yosef gave a change of clothing, beautiful clothing. However, one exception, and that's Binyamin. Binyamin nasan chamech chalifos. He gave him 5 changes of clothing. Now, this seems to indicate that Yosef gave preference and favored one of the Shvatim over the other. And this is going to bother the Gemara a lot because it seems that the entire harsha of hatred and jealousy that led to the Mechir of Yosef was all because Yaakov gave preferential treatment to Yosef above and beyond what he gave to the other brothers. And now Yosef seems to be repeating the same sin. Of course, there's no comparison. I mean, Yaakov has all these sons, and he chooses one, Yosef, for the son is pasim. In the case of Yosef, Binyamin and him are full brothers, meaning they share the same mother, which is not true for Yosef and his relationship to all the other brothers. So it makes sense. Add to that the fact that Binyamin was the only brother who did not participate at all in Mekiras Yosef. So there's many justifiable reasons, perhaps, for Yosef to feeling a special favoritism towards Binyamin, but nevertheless, the Gemara is still not happy with it. Efshar Dovash and its Tayarbo also Tzadik, the very thing that the Tzadik Yosef suffered from, it's Tayarbo, meaning he was sold as an Eved. Is he kosher? And now he will stumble over it, meaning he will repeat the same mistake.